Welcome back to Talking Dirt. Sorry, Gus, did I
was
take
too
that
excited.
away?
I was going to say that too.
We're welcoming our newly re-elected mayor, Steve Skadron, to the show.
He came rolling up with his helmet on, flying up here. You're going to have him do a grand entrance, but we figured let's start talking.
I didn't want to disturb the good energy, the good vibe going on set.
So congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
You're excited about your new term?
Coming through an election, politics are real here.
Yes,
and it's
they
tiring.
are.
I'm really tired, and it's taking me a little bit of time to recover from the whole thing.
Yeah.
They run long, and they're intense, and they require a deep and thorough understanding of a lot of issues.
Right.
So,
It is complicated, and people are informed here, and they care.
and engaged, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
really do.
That makes it good. Sometimes it can be a little frustrating, but it's a really good problem to have, that we have an informed and engaged electorate.
Absolutely.
What are you looking up? What is the city council looking forward to? What are some of the goals and dreams and objectives you have for the city?
One thing I want to work on is our transportation problem in town. We're going to have a really busy summer, and on the one hand, that's really good because we want a lot of people to experience Aspen and have a real strong and vibrant economy. On the other hand, it brings with it some negatives, a lot of automobile traffic, a density in town that frustrates some of the locals because we come for peaceful, small town mountain living. So it's important to find that balance. That's one of the things I'm going to work on in this next term. In a month, City Council does a retreat, and we set our top 10 goals. So each council member will bring the things important to them, and then we'll debate them and establish the priorities. And one of mine will be the transportation issue.
Where is this retreat? Can we come?
It's someplace in town. Retreat, we joke, retreat is a fancy word for really long meeting.
Okay,
It's
good.
not-
All right.
We're not jetting off to Kauai or something.
Yes.
I was intrigued. I was like, I'm coming. Let's go to the retreat.
So how is the fallout around Referendum 1?
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. We talked about that last time.
Right.
In the spring. We have one application, Mark Hunt's hotel, he calls it Base 2, that was passed by City Council. And while this does not fall subject to the referendum,
Now, why doesn't it fall subject to the referendum?
we had legal opinion on this because we want to honor voter intent, of course, but it has to do, I believe, with the timing that the ordinance was passed. And ordinance take effect, I believe, 30 days after. So referendum 1 it was passed, and the city council has to honor the vote. So we make an ordinance that recognizes that vote. So we passed the ordinance, but this application came in before the 30 days required to make the ordinance official. I think that's why.
So then now there are a group of citizens kind of rallying around, a retroactive vote
Right.
on his project.
Well,
Do you think they'll have any traction on that?
Interestingly, anytime the citizens have in their power the opportunity to repeal a legislative act. So when council passes an ordinance of any kind, citizens can petition and referendum the vote. Referendum 1 isn't needed for that.
Oh.
So what's happening now is what could have happened all the time.
Oh, got
And
it.
there's a little bit of frustration about the density, the size and density of the project that's proposed, and we'll see what happens if the signatures are in place, and I believe they will be. It'll go to a vote of the people. We'll see what happens. If in fact the developer takes it to that point, because he could just pull the application and say, enough of this nonsense, I
Right.
don't
And
want to
he
deal with it.
has indicated that that's a possibility for him.
See, now that is one of the fallout of referendum 1. One of the unintended consequences is that potentially good projects, and I think I voted against this project, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad one. Potentially good projects won't come to fruition, and we're seeing that. And while repealing this may fit the emotion of the day, let's shut down development, I don't know that it serves the long-term interest of our community. And I think we as a community, should be thinking about the things that serve the long-term interest here.
Yes. Now, do you think it's really their intent to shut down development or just limit variances granted on development?
Yeah, well, there's a fine line there. This application got a couple permissions. Nothing radical. One of them had to do with the number of parking spaces.
Right.
Now, you asked, transportation is something I want to take on in this next term. We have in our code something that's called, this is how upside down and complicated it gets. We have in our code something called the parking minimum. We require the developer to deliver a minimum number of parking spots, 18 or 12 or 24 or whatever it is.
Yes.
So we are in effect asking the developer to do something that invites automobile traffic into town. But we live in a town that wants to limit or eliminate the automobile traffic. So what we should have is a zero parking requirement, or a maximum. You can have no more than 2 or 3 parking spots, thereby requiring the developer to develop a business plan that is not auto-dependent.
Yeah.
That's
Except that Americans are so attached to their cars.
today.
Yeah.
They are, but things are changing. And this is some of the things I'm looking at. There's new transportation models, there's new technologies, and there's things we can use to break our habits. And just because we do something one way today doesn't mean it's the right way.
And it doesn't mean it'll always be the way.
Right.
That's for sure.
So.
That's for sure.
I think we're about wrapping up too, Steve. We could sit here all day. We might have to do an hour show next time.
It's interesting,
to
isn't
have
it?
Steve
Yeah.
Skadron.
Yeah.
There's so much going on for a little town.
And Aspen leads, so it's exciting to be in a position to do things where the rest of the country watches us. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks again so much for coming.
Thank
We'd
you.
love to have you on again. And we will be right back with more Talking Dirt.